Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today there is widespread agreement on the decline of the Islamic civilization, but there is a wide variety of opinions as to the cause of this problem and accordingly the solution. Our online course, consisting of 8 lectures, will attempt to discuss this central question of importance to the Muslim Ummah. To consider the problem in an appropriate framework, let's go back to the initial question of how was it that Islam led ignorant and backwards Bedouin to world leadership. The revolution launched by the teaching of Islam 1450 years ago is a unique event in human history. Can we replicate this revolution today? Do Islamic teachings have the power to again perform the miracle that they did 1400 years ago and take the Muslims from the bottom rank of civilizations to the top? Our hearts and our faith in Islam says yes, the power of the Quran is forever. But our reason, our mushahada, our witness of the world says no. If the Islamic teachings had this power, the Muslims would not be in the current conditions. Today the Muslims have neither Deen nor Dunya. If Islam offers a solution, no one seems to know what it is. So how can we resolve this paradox and conflict, the apparent powerlessness of Islamic teachings and their extreme power in the past? What is the resolution of this dilemma, and how can we resolve this conflict between our hearts and our heads? This is a sequence of 8 weekly lectures over 2 months which will attempt to answer these fundamental questions. The first lecture will cover the essential work of Syed Abul Hassan Nadwi on what the world lost due to the decline of Islamic civilization. Today we have forgotten our history and our achievements. We do not even know what were the gifts that Islam gave to the world and how the decline of Islam caused tremendous loss to humanity and civilization. We must learn the answers before we can create any positive change. The second lecture deals with the problem of the Eurocentric worldview, which we all learn in the course of our Western education. We learn that all significant knowledge existing today is due to Europeans. So how can we counter this when Islam teaches us that all important knowledge was given to our Prophet 14 centuries ago in a message for mankind that is eternal? How can we learn to see the world with Islamic point of view instead of the European point of view which we learn through our Western education? A key to understanding is learning what the nature of Western social sciences. These social sciences claim to be objective, neutral, impartial, based on empirical evidence and reason. But this is not so. Actually, these so-called sciences, they are not really sciences, they are a religion themselves, and they are based on denial of God, afterlife, and central Islamic concepts. They redefine the purpose of human life to be pursuit of pleasure and power. They reduce human beings to animals, and they consider that our human life here is just a cutthroat competition for survival of the fittest in the jungle. We learn to see through this. We must learn to see through these deceptions and to develop a new social science based on Islamic foundations. Today the Ummah as a whole has no longer got any confidence in Islamic teachings. The vast majority believe that in order to make progress, we must learn the Western knowledge. The Islamic teachings of the Quran and Hadith cannot lead to a revolution. But this is a major misunderstanding and an illusion. The revolution that Islam creates lies in the hearts of human beings. The Prophet ﷺ taught how to transform human beings from asfala safilin to ahsan taqweem, and this is the same thing which is needed today. Western education has nothing to teach us about how to create human beings, and Islam has everything to teach us about this, and this is the central thing that we need to do to launch an Islamic revolution. How can we rebuild Islamic societies and launch an Islamic revolution? There is lots of thought that has gone into this by many leaders. Some of them are in favor of a revolutionary approach where we tear down every existing institution coming from the West and build on new Islamic foundations. Others are in favor of patchwork of modifications, making gradual adjustments so that we can transform the current system, which is Western, towards an Islamic one. Both of these strategies have their strengths and weaknesses, and we have to analyze them and to pick the best of both in order to create a strategy which combines their strengths and avoids their weaknesses. The sixth lecture relates to the need to change our development paradigms. Today we have been trained by the West to believe that progress means having more money and power and wealth, and all of the development institutions are striving to get more GNP per capita, more human capital into the Islamic world. Islam teaches us an entirely different meaning of development. How can we turn the human beings, how can we develop the capacities within each human being for excellence? Each human being has the capability and the potential to be like the entire mankind. So just like a small atom can explode and take down the whole city, so if we develop the capacity of human beings, we can launch a revolution based on Islamic foundations. Our Western education has instilled in our minds many concepts which enslave us and chain us to our colonial past. In order to liberate ourselves, we must do a self-psychoanalysis. We must understand the historical experiences of the West and how these created current Western thought. So this is the necessary in order to liberate ourselves from the chains of colonial thought which bind our minds. The eighth lecture is about the Ghazali project, which explains that our current situation is very similar to the situation faced by Imam Ghazali. In his time, the Mu'tazila were so impressed by Greek thought that they thought that Greek philosophy should be on par with religion. They said that aql is equal to wahi, where aql meant Greek philosophy. Today, Muslims have given Western education, Western knowledge, the same status or even greater status than the Quran and our own historical intellectual tradition. And to undo this, we must do the 3 steps that Imam Ghazali took to counter the Greek influence, according to his 3 books. One of them is Deliverance from Error, which was about acquiring certainty and faith in the teachings of Islam and getting rid of confusion and misconceptions and doubts and the inner quarrels between different schools of thought. The second step is the Hafatul Falsafa, which is to find the contradictions and confusions within the bodies of Western knowledge which have so impressed us that we accept them without question. And especially the human sciences of the West, which are based on reducing human beings to animals, these need to be exposed and shown for the weakness that they have. And the final step is Ahya Ulumuddin. Today we think of Deen as only being good for the Akhirah, but not for anything useful in today to solve our modern problems. This is very false, and actually our Deen provides us with amazing tools for solving modern human problems which the West cannot even conceive of. So we need to show how this works, to show how our Deen gives us new solutions to current problems facing mankind today.